welcome again, and welcome back to Leadership is Not Rocket Science. And today again we're having a conversation between Leslie and Kerry and myself, Matthew, about a really interesting topic, right? Something that in most programs we really find that people get a little antsy on their seats. Right? And really get uncomfortable and say, "Isn't it time we left now?"
Isn't it morning tea?
Morning tea, yes.
Yeah.
And doing that. Why is political nous so important in organizations?
Thanks, Matt. So there's a number of reasons from the point of view of understanding how organizations work. So as we've talked about previously around, structure in regards to policy, procedure, practices, versus principles, etc. But the underlying way that the organisations work depends on how people are interacting and what you can observe. So when people come into organisations, the first thing that they do when they start in an organisation should be to look around and see who's interacting, how it's working, and what we talk about in terms of being politically aware is not aligning quickly to one particular following or one particular person to ensure that you are not being taken on board by somebody that may be not principled in the right way. So they might be doing it for their own self-need and feeding you information that may not be correct around the organisation. So I talk to people about observing and also being conscious of their communication with various people within the company, because you'll learn about the power plays, you'll learn about who's aligned with who, you'll learn about which resources are provided in a certain direction and how to get those resources. You'll understand how your manager works and how they work upwards in terms of managing within the organisation. So from a political nous perspective, understanding who are different players and how they play is really important. So there's a model that we talk about in our programs, which is political awareness model, and it's by Baddeley and Jones, and they talk about people that are politically aware and people that are politically unaware, and people that play psychological games, and people that act with integrity.
Oh, that's better.
You like that one? I like one. Okay, so the thing is that we talk about it in terms of animals, which really resonates with people. They really start to, that discomfort about politics, using the animals and using the political nous, political awareness model makes them a little bit more comfortable, because they start to laugh and joke and say, oh yeah, we know animals like that within the organisation. So in one corner we've got clever, which is somebody that's very politically aware and they play psychological games, and that's a fox. So the fox is somebody that is out for themselves, they're self-serving, they may buddy up to you and make you feel like you're the best person ever, but don't be misled by that. They're out for themselves. Then the next one we talk about is a donkey, who believes that they're politically aware, but they're actually not. They're politically unaware. But they're playing psychological games, but they don't actually understand what they're doing. So they can be...
I know those ones too.
Yeah, they can be even more dangerous, because they actually don't know what...
Powder kegs all over the place.
Yes. They just stand on landmines and they don't even realise they did it, They're the people in the meetings that ask that really bad question, and you think, oh my God, head for cover. And then you've got the innocents, which are the sheep. And they're very politically unaware, but they're not doing it with the worst intent. They're doing it for the best intent, but they're very unaware of what's happening. I think
they can't read the room as well.
That's right, exactly.
I've been there.
Yes,
done that.
Yes, but they're acting with integrity, but they're not knowing. They're not aware of what's happening with the foxes or the donkeys. And then you've got the wise, which is the owl, and that person is very politically aware, but they're acting with integrity. So that's really important. And we should all be trying, and we all play in each space, knowingly or unknowingly at times we play in that space, but we should really move towards wise. We should be politically aware, but we should be acting with integrity to be able to play well within organisations.
So why do you think politics is a dirty word in organisations?
I think people have been burnt by it.
Right.
I think that people haven't, if they work into an
They've
organisation,
been a bit of an innocent or a bit of an inept,
yeah,
a
they've been
donkey or
a
a
donkey
sheep.
or whatever. And also, they could be in a culture of an organisation that's terrible. It's toxic, and where politics are rife and working in
In a negative way.
all about psychological games, all about working for themselves, what's in it for them, person, rather than the organisation.
Okay.
And it's interesting you say that, because one of the things that you guys know I'm very passionate about is trust, and in the trust equation, there's the underline, which is self-interest.
I know. I was going there myself in my head. As
Yes,
well.
right.
Yeah.
And so you can really put these two models really together to understand where that self-interest sits.
Yes.
And that political nous.
Overpowering the.
Yes, overpowering the trust. And so to if you want to build trust, you have to have that political nous in order to identify the self-interest that is in play, and that is working with those people. And that's why I like the owl, because it's got the integrity. The integrity is to connect trust to the
what we're doing. Yes.
to the political environment and organization. And I acknowledge that we are political in everything that we do. And the question is, how do we move that political side into integrity rather than into total self-interest?
Yeah. And the thing is, the owl is about we.
Yeah.
It's around the organisation and what does it do to move the organisation forward. Yeah. Whereas the donkey is the fox is about I. So what's the benefit
What
of
for
them?
me?
What's for me?
Yeah. And that's a really nice analogy to be in an organization saying, are you being a fox or an owl at the moment?
Well, and it's because it's not quite confronting, is it? It's a nice way. Yeah.
How would you set that up in a workshop? How would you have that conversation in a workshop?
Well, there's quite a deal of content behind it. Leslie's done a lot of research in this space, and so I appreciate Leslie her views on it. But basically, we walk into into a workshop, and we talk about political nous, and we unpack the fact that why is it a dirty word from the point of view of politics, and we start to talk about these different types of animals representing different parts of the politics or how they work. And that actually helps, as Leslie said, that actually makes it less confronting, and they start to identify. And then we talk from there around what sort of their leadership orientation. So then we move into this book, which talks about how great leaders think, which is, did you want to show that?
Bowman and Deal. Yeah.
Bowman and Deal, yeah.
Yeah.
So we will put those in the show notes as well.
You talked to that, Leslie.
Oh, okay. So it came from Matthew, really. It's Matthew's model. Bowman and Deal, what they're doing is talking about that we have different types of leadership styles that we lean towards, that we have a preference of, and they are structural. So it's about the policies, procedures, guidelines, doing things in a order component. Political, so it's understanding the dynamics of the organisation, where the resources are, how to influence to get those resources and that thinking. Symbolic, which is around telling the story, bringing up people along because of that aspiration of where we're going to and how that leads in. And then human resources, which is around the people and bringing those people along and helping them, enabling them to be the best that they can be. And you will have a preference. You will plot in all of those components, but you will have a preference to one of those. But what it does say, what I really like about this is, in different frameworks of the culture of your organisation, which one should you be leaning into? In this situation, where should you be going? So we talk about it in terms of I can't even, they'll be in that book, but I can't remember what they are. They're leaning this way. Therefore, what should I change my approach by? Do I need to be more symbolic?
Yes.
Do I need to get the resources? Yeah. Is that right, Matt? Am I?
Absolutely, because what you've articulated is a dominant frame of reference. And so this is the way we like to be talked with, or to how we solve problems. So sometimes we get into an organization that is now we're 3 years into the CEO's reign, and we have had 12 restructures. So you could bet your bottom dollar that this person is structural.
Yes.
Right? You know, you don't have to do the test to figure that out, right? But this person is continually using the same dominant frame of reference in order to solve the problem. And the issue that we have is that this may be a political problem. This may because it may involve multiple different stakeholders and alliances and partnerships that we have, and so therefore we need to be political. And if we don't have that nous to be able to shift where the answer is, or where we need to look at it, then we end up always doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Which is the sign of what's that?
Insanity.
Insanity.
Insanity, right? And
the meaning of insanity.
the meaning of insanity. And so by shunning one of these areas, by saying we are not a political organization, you're closing yourself off to a really valuable tool in order to be able to generate progress. Now, everything in an organization, what everybody will tell you is that momentum is everything. And if you can't get momentum, the organization withers and dies. And this model helps us to find that momentum. But if we keep restructuring, hoping to get that momentum, and it keeps failing, and people saying, I've got 7 business cards now, and I really don't know what my job title is anymore, right?
Now.
And I had 4 direct reports, and I had 2, then I had 7, then I had 11, and now I don't have any direct reports, right?
I've got 20. All of them.
All of them, right? And I don't know what's going on, right? That is the feeding ground for the fox. Because that's where the fox can come in and start building alliances and start taking resources away from people because they're confused, they don't know what they're doing, they're unsecure about these things like that. As it is, the fox waits for the right moment to strike, to pounce, right? It doesn't come in barging, right, and things like that.
That's the inept donkey. The barges
the barges in, right?
And the sheep's getting eaten.
The sheep are getting eaten, right, or trampled to death, right?
Yes.
And so if you need to help coach your people and develop your people to be able to aspire to wanting to be politically wise.
That it's not a dirty word, that it's actually being that to take the company, the team, the organisation forward, you actually need to understand what that looks like and utilise it in a wise way. Yeah.
You need to understand the alliances. You need to understand how to manage resources and get resources, and who you need to speak to.
How to speak to them.
Yes.
What's the communication they require in that process to make decisions to help you along the way?
Yes. Managing up is very important. In that, and using being wise in the way you do that. Is really, and it's not unauthentic. It's not. It's basically ensuring that, from the point of view of, because it is about, if you're Al, it is about the organisation, not you.
Yes.
It's what the best of intent is. It's acting with integrity. So that's not unauthentic for me.
It's getting the resources in the right place at the right time.
And from a pure survival instinct point of view, if one of the great political tools is called the wedge, right, where you have people working well together, and somebody wants to not have that success, that privilege those people, they will try to drive a wedge between those two people to separate them, and find something of insecurity within that relationship to then drive it apart. And one of the things that is really important at that time is that if you have political nous and you can see that's happening, you can say, I can go to Leslie and said, we're being wedged right now. And he said, really, are we? He said, yes, these are the things happening. So how do we respond to that?
Together.
How do we do that? How do we do that together in order to be able to not do that, right? Now, if you watch Oh, that great show that is one of my favorite, which is House of Cards, right?
Yes.
They use incrementing photos and of people sleeping with different people, which is normally not the tools used in organizations or in real life, right? Not suggesting that for one moment, right? But there is this little point. There is this thing creeping in, which is becoming more and more popular, which people are talking about, this sort of gaslighting. It's just putting in different points in there that this sort of makes people unsure about themselves. You need to see that coming. You need to be aware that that's coming, right? Because people do that intentionally, or they do that non-intentionally. And so when and if it doesn't, if you don't allow it to affect you, it's not that bad. It's this noise. But if you allow it to affect you, it just destroys the whole team, and everything you've been building for just falls apart.
Yeah, you're dead right. It's a really interesting component. My mother taught me about political awareness, just as my mother tout. When I was much younger, I joined a rugby union board, committee board. And I was the first woman on the board, and there was a number of people that really didn't want me on the board because I was a girl on the board, and that those wedges were coming in thick and fast. And so you could see it coming in, but I wasn't quite sure how to play or what to do in that circumstance. And so Mum was talking about why. So it's the organisations at the forefront of this process. That's why you were there. But how do you bring them along for the journey to keep within the organisation? Because they're important and they love the same thing. But how do you enable that to happen? So she was giving me that reading the room of understanding who was where and what was playing. And then, I must have lost it later on.
Become a sheep.
Not become a sheep. Reading the room, but then actually understanding what I needed to do with individuals to bring them along for that journey, to help them understand that I was here and I was here for the organisation, not here for me.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about owls. They do a lot of listening. You know, from the point of view of being wise and politically aware, they're listening to what's going on in the room, what's being said, what's not being said.
Yes.
You know, the tonality, the body language in meetings. The reading a room is really critical. And the owls aren't, if they're not sure, they will not speak. They will just observe what's happening.
Now, this is particularly hard for people that have a worldview that there is a right and there is a wrong. And because they are right and the other people are wrong, the rest of the room needs to see that and fall in line with what they're doing. And then they find that they're being outmaneuvered by the other people. Which is the donkey. They're donkeys, right? And so for that group of people, it's really, really hard because they said, but I know I'm right. I know I'm doing this in a right aspect. Why does nobody follow me?
Why is no one listening to me?
Why is no one listening to me?
Yes.
It's because you're not a leader. You're not a leader until somebody chooses to follow you.
Yes.
And the sole role you have as a leader is to mobilize people into action. That's the sole thing that you do. If you do it yourself, you're not a leader. Right? If you don't do it, you're not a leader. If nobody does it, you're not leading anyone. Right? So you need to mobilize people into action. You need to understand exactly where their political alliances are, where their political motivations are, and you need to, as you said, to listen for their truth as well, and create a composite truth that we all can live under. Rather than I am right and you are wrong.
And owls understand that. They know that there's more than one right and more than one wrong.
They just need to know when to back off and let it happen around them and it'll get there. Yeah. Or when they need to step in because it needs to go. Yeah, it's understanding it's the room.
And we should stop watching American movies where every political president tries to find a fall guy to blame when they mess up, right?
Or Suits.
The Suits, yes.
I actually don't think it's movies. I just think it's watch the American political.
Okay.
Sorry.
On that note, before we go.
Sorry. I apologize.
So on that note, thank you for your time today. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye from all of us, and see you at the next podcast in the not too distant future.
Okay. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.